Greetings. Welcome to the Safing live stream. Today it's Daniel again, and for all of you who have read my preparation for the post today, we're talking about the SPN again. Thank you for everybody who has been here last 2 weeks ago and asked all those great questions in regarding to Portmaster. I hope I cleaned most of them up afterwards in the Discord. Again, the link to the Discord for the live chat in Discord, which we have open over there, is in the description, so you can join us there, or of course, do the YouTube chat, which for us is over there. So Daniel will probably read the Discord thing first, and I will read the YouTube thing first. At least that's the plan.
Let's see.
Okay.
I feel we're in or you're at least, in Trekkie mode today.
Trekkie mode? Oh, I don't know. Back in the old office, for those people who want to look back, it was not Lego, but it was like bricks. An Easter egg. Yeah, there was a shuttle, like an Enterprise level shuttle in the back in the calyx, like the bookshelf.
We should just hang it from strings from the ceiling here. That'd be fun.
No, which of course is an interesting thing. We thought about maybe doing a big Star Destroyer at one point, but we're getting way off track right at the beginning.
I was on track.
Yeah, you were on track, and with me being into Star Trek, which of course, if you follow me on Mastodon, you already know. I started watching Picard season 3, but different topic. Mastodon link in the description.
Reminds me of Mastodon handles in the video.
They're longer. They're too long. Today's topic is if I beam my connection, on my device, does it die? Does it die, Daniel?
Theoretically, yes, it does.
It does. See?
Yeah. So they're all dead.
All the connections are dead. Well
yeah.
Then.
So
why are we doing it like that? Tell me, from a technical perspective, why do we kill all those poor connections?
Well, efficiency.
Is it?
Well, to some extent.
I thought, I was expecting security as an answer.
No. The actual answer is privacy.
Okay, of course it's privacy. Of course it's privacy.
Of course, the answer is privacy.
But I thought isn't it a security thing as well? That we can make sure that none of the connections. Isn't this the reason why we don't need stuff like an kill switch?
The reason we don't need kill switch is because we're a firewall.
Yeah, that of course is true as well. But okay, go into details. I don't want to presume too much. I'm just
okay. So what Raphael was hinting at is
exactly
that how the integration works of how Portmaster integrates with the system and integrates plugs in the SPN on your device, and that right now works the same for Windows and Linux, but it might work differently in the future. For example, the Android version we're just building at the moment works differently, but let's stick to the current.
Exactly. I'm Android version, don't tell them too much. No.
So, yeah. So how that looks like is that we don't want to send all the data, unnecessary data over the network. So if we look at networking theory, there is this concept of network levels, most often referred to the OSI network stack or the TCP stack. They're very similar. So you have different levels going from up physical link layer, transport layer, and then.
May I just interject quickly?
Sure.
For people to understand, I got taught on the podcast where I'm a co-host, Securitized, the Central Sounds of InfoSec, that this is a very German thing that we say OSI. For all those, they spell it out. It's OSI for them. So if you're confused, We're thinking of the
Okay.
OSI model, like with the 7 layers.
That's funny because I've never heard it that
Yeah,
way.
me neither. Me neither. But it was a funny situation on the podcast. So that's the reason. So, and they were confused when I said OSI. So if you're confused, we're talking about the
Okay.
OSI. We will keep saying OSI. You can make fun of us in the comments, but we're talking about the different layers which have more or less not been implemented, at least the top ones.
Well, that really depends on how you look at it
Yeah,
and
but it's
how
a
much
useful
you
model.
look for them in the real world.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's useful. It's useful. And so,
So,
sorry, I just wanted to check that we don't lose people here.
so yeah, well, I will also be interpreting a bit like how these apply to what we're doing. So, um, what kind of well established is that you have layer 3. That's the network level. That's IP addresses. That's the thing we don't want to leak. And then we have layer 4 is the transport layer. That's where TCP lives. That's the protocol that you use, that HTTP use, which you use for browsing. And we also don't want that one in there because TCP does a lot of connection transmission control. It means it has a lot of logic of retransmitting packets, checking packets, and that can interfere with other mechanics. So the SPN has its own mechanics to check and control the flow of packets and make sure that all of them arrive. So if we have that multiple times different layers, that can lead to very weird behavior, and we don't want that. So we're also not taking this level. The first level we're actually transferring over the network is the layer 5, the session layer. That's where most commonly TLS lives, and then the layers above are like a bit open for interpretation, like what they correspond to.
What is included in the layers above?
So
Like what is included in the session layer, why it is important, and what is included in the layers above, and why do we need them? And why don't we need the transport, like the TCP layer?
Okay, so we have layer 5 is like look at normal like web connection. You have layer 5 is the TLS, that's encryption. We definitely want to handle that because otherwise nothing will work. And we want your browser to have a secure connection to the server.
Yeah.
It's going to. And then layer 6, we could say that is HTTP. And then layer 7 would be the application that then interprets the HTTP response. It would be the browser itself.
Okay. I was just looking for when you're saying which layer includes the data, like
so,
the actual proper
so,
data.
So HTTP, that's in our case what includes the actual data.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want
so,
to make it clear. So because sometimes people are a little bit, and I don't want to go into this right now, but sometimes people are confused when they use stuff like a DNS provider where they can see like the DNS requests coming in, and they think that this is the connection. I'm like, no, this is just like the lookup. You know, it's just like you going to the telephone book and looking up where do I need to go. You don't go there yet, you know, and nothing is forcing you to go there. Just because you know where somebody lives, you don't have to go there. And so with this, it's like if you have the session, this is of course a connection, and maybe it's important
but
here as
not
well.
to that party.
Yeah, exactly. No. I'm now talking about layer 5, like with the session. I'm going back to the SPN again. Okay. But in this, there does not necessarily have to be like it. There needs to be some data, and there is some like handshakes and stuff which go on, like the TLS handshake and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not there. You don't see anything yet.
Yeah. It's still part of the unseen part.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
just wanted to make this sure. So
the data you see starts at layer 6.
Exactly.
HTTP.
But what you're also saying, and I think this is important as well to make clear for everybody, we're very careful in what we actually take over and what we sort of like replace. And what you're explicitly saying here as well is like for the TLS handshake and stuff, we don't tamper with it.
Yeah.
Like we will go into how we still secure your thing, like because I pitched this thing like with we're beaming you somewhere else and we're not actually tunneling anything. I think this is a useful thing to keep in mind. But like for this, your browser still, however the TLS handshake actually gets made in between, it talks directly, and we're not intercepting this with the service you want to actually connect to. So, and the reason for this is security.
Yeah, and also it just won't work because if the browser can't establish the secure connection, it will just say,
There are people who are like intercepting this.
yeah, but they'd have to do a lot of additional stuff
That's
in
true.
order to make it work.
In order to make it work, and in the end, it will. And we could do it as well, but it's just like in the end, it makes it less secure, of course.
Yeah,
Because you're like, this is like an encrypted tunnel. I don't want to use tunnel too much, but this is an encrypted handshake between
data stream.
an
Yeah.
encrypted data stream between your browser and the service you're talking to, and the SPN wants to sort of like make this data stream, of course, secure, but poking into that data stream, we think is not how to do it, because poking into the data stream makes it less secure. Like if you already have broken it open once and like put your tamper-proof seal onto it, like it's already like tampered with. It's not.
Yeah,
and some
it's
antivirus
like
stuff
it's like
does
the,
stuff
the
like this.
Transport Security Agency like opening your suitcase and then putting their seal on there, like everything's okay.
Exactly.
It's like, yeah, not sure about that one.
exactly. I'm not sure anymore if everything is okay in there, and stuff like that. So this is why we don't tamper with it.
So I think that's a good comparison, because of course in theory tampering with it is possible in a secure way, as in theory the Transport Security Agency brings more security to opening suitcases, but in practice it's a bit more difficult, and a lot of other reputable companies have, maybe not reputable, but big companies, maybe that's a better word. Many big companies have attempted and utterly failed at doing it in a secure way. So, yeah, lots of.
And there's stuff you just don't need to tamper with. Like,
yeah,
there are the benefits are very like minimal in regards to the potential risks.
If you want to like protect something inside your browser traffic, do it in a browser.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you want to block ads in your browser, install an ad blocker. That's the way to go. Yes, we theoretically could also do this, but
and we might.
Yeah, but
with the browser extension.
With the browser extension, but not from the outside.
Exactly.
So always use the correct technical tool for the problem. Do not just try to do everything from the network level.
That's true. That's also, of course, the thing, like why we think that Portmaster, like on your device, is better than stuff like, or better suited for many use cases than stuff like Pi-hole, which is on the network level. It has way less information about what the connection where the connection is coming from, and so on.
This is actually really good, interesting like comparison, kind of going from the network level to the device into the browser.
Yeah.
And like choosing the right tool for the right situation.
Yeah, and we might, and so we touched on the browser extension, but Violet actually was saying hello, so hello Violet as well, and talking about the Android version in full swing. Absolutely, we are working on it, and the browser extension will come after all of this. And I already talked on the Discord today, mentioned that we might go into the rest of the network as well, which will also come after all of this. So just wanted to make sure, but you're right. Android is on the roadmap, and we're thinking and like working towards it. Back to the topic. So we're like, so where does the beaming come in?
So when we talk about the network connection, typically what technical people mean is layer 3. That's the IP connection to another device or service or whatever. So that's kind of where the connection itself dies. And then also we don't want that because it has IP addresses, even if it's just the destination IP address and your local IP address, that can still leak information, and depending on your local address and stuff like that. So we don't want that. We don't want to transfer that. And then we have the next step, which is TCP, which we don't want to transfer because it interferes with our protocol. So we only grab the raw data, and that's kind of what we mean with the connection dies, because also the browser thinks that it's connected immediately. So for example, if the SPN is slow at establishing connection, what you'll see in the browser is not kind of waiting for the connection to the server, because that's instant, because it kind of dies at Portmaster. But you'll see establishing TLS handshake, because that's the first bit of data that actually goes through the network and has to come back again. So that's the thing that you've probably never seen before when waiting for a website, but you'll be seeing with the SPN if there's an issue. Yeah.
So how does this, like, the thing what I wanted to
Okay,
sort of
beaming.
like arrive exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
good. So
'Cause we
how
have
does the
been-
beaming work?
And also, yeah, how does the beaming work? And also, like, this is, I think, a very good distinction between us and what other, like, tunneling technology actually does. Because what tunneling technology usually does is, like, as you said, like, forward, like,
Just packets.
yeah, on layer 3 typically as well.
Yeah.
So everything
Definitely.
we just said and the reasons why we get rid of all of this is just forwarded. Like, and this is also what we talk about when we talk about VPNs. It's just like you're just shifting your trust. Like, all of this is still there on that server, all that information. And with us, this information gets cut off locally. So that this is when we talk about privacy by design. What we're saying, it's like we just cut it off locally. We make it impossible for that stuff to actually, like, leave your device. Yeah. Okay, but now how does the beaming work? So how can I, like, and I had this epiphany like this morning. Like, I was in the shower and I'm like, oh, I think it's beaming. I think we should stop saying we're just like tunneling each connection. We're beaming each connection, you know? And it's like this sciencey moment where I'm like, I think this describes it better.
So,
And do you agree? Maybe we will answer this at the end. We haven't talked about this in advance, so I'm like, I pushed him into this topic for today.
I think it's an interesting analogy.
Yeah, see? So we're exploring it a little bit, and then you say if you agree at the end.
So what happens is the connection arrives at Portmaster, and layer 3 and 4 are terminated, and layer 5 and up are like kind of just read from the connection to your browser, and then kind of cut into small pieces, and then every kind of package is then marked with a small tag, and actually it's every small packet is encrypted, and then marked, and then encrypted, marked, encrypted, marked. So
for the
multi-hop system, so that whenever the next, and then they just kind of get sometimes grouped together in like other layers to get forwarded to the next server. The next server just unpacks the thing, sees the label, and just encryption. So it only sees the label. Where is the next hop going to? So yes, I have that. So whoop, over there. This next packet, where does that go? Oh, here, whoop, over there. So they just see, like, where does the packet go next, and send it along the way, and then kind of every of these small pieces that we cut our connection into goes through the network, and then somewhere at the exit server, they kind of start piling up, and the exit server starts like removing the last encryption layer, and then kind of adding them all together, and then kind of sending them off to the destination. and with the packets that come in return. Then every layer adds its encryption back onto it until it's back to your device, where all layers are again removed, and then all the small packets are then kind of put together and sent back to the browser again.
And so this is like basically why we beam the connection from your device to the exit node, basically. And from there, because like in this between, the packet sizes are different to what you would see typically in a layer 3.
Yeah, that doesn't have anything to do anymore with
Does have nothing to do with it. We can cut it as we want, and we do it like as reasonably what is useful and stuff inside around it. This is why we can do multiple paths through the network as well, because in the end it just needs to come together in the exit node, and from there the actual connection is established. Like, and all the data from layer like below layer 5 is everything is like lost, so to speak. It's not required.
Yeah.
And so there's this true disconnect between your connection like on your device and your connection on like to the service. There is like in between the SPN is an actual like gap where we do multiple things to the connection, as well as you're saying, like encryption, like packet sizes, bulking stuff together, mixing it with other connections, of course, as well, and stuff like that, to truly disconnect it and have proper like privacy and not just like shifting of stuff. Yeah. Cool. So you think beaming is an interesting analogy here?
Definitely.
Okay.
We can try it out and see like what the reactions are, and if people start like connecting things that we didn't.
Yeah.
And end up with weird understanding of how SPN works, then we might need to like rethink that. And
that's true. That's true. But I think it's maybe better than a tunnel, because it is not. And I think the first thing that people who are sort of like aware of what tunneling does is also then not true, because people are thinking of, well, can I expose a port through the SPN and stuff? And of course you cannot, because like you don't have an exit IP. Like, you of course have an exit IP address for this connection, but you're not like connected to that IP address necessarily. You're not like have a connection, an open connection there. You're just sending data there and the information how to establish the connection from there. But you don't have a bidirectional situation going on here. So this is also why no incoming connections are like designed into the SPN in general and stuff.
Yeah. So we can of course build a new system that can do this. So technically it is possible.
Yeah.
But a big question for us is here, what is the real use case? And is that something that's preferable? Yeah. And like, what are the implications?
Yeah. And for regular browsing, it's not required.
Not only for it is not required generally. And what are the implications, not only for us as a company, but for all the people hosting community nodes? If suddenly they're actually serving content to the world. So that's a lot more tricky than just accessing content from a server.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it would kind of be like being like hosting a darknet service. Like Tor, but you don't need Tor anymore, so everyone can access it. That's kind of just from the liability perspective. Yeah. Something that we have to carefully consider.
Yeah.
On the other side, one thing that would be a cool idea that we're thinking about, not confirmed yet. So
hot takes here.
is how about you yourself can connect to your own stuff? Yeah. So, for example, you have one device at home running the SPN, and then you kind of define a service and be like, okay, you can reach this service with this name through this device on that IP address. So you can connect to all sorts of things in your LAN, in your home network, from somewhere else, through the SPN, through your computer. So that's just a fun idea that is similar, but kind of has a very good barrier that we think makes sense, because I definitely see a use case there.
And of course, this would be like then a private and direct connection. I think this is important to mention as well.
Yeah. So it won't go over. It will go into the SPN. And never come out until you at home. So.
Exactly. The last decryption would happen at home. So nobody in between has access to that data, which of course is very important, because like some VPNs are offering stuff like that at the moment, or starting to offer this, like remote home. But of course, like all the data is like accessible through their server. Like everything has to move through their server. And of course, with VPNs, as always, like your connection to the server is encrypted, but
not on the server.
Not on the server. And it's like, and then of course everything you move through there is on that server, like has been on that server.
Yeah, SPN would always be end-to-end encrypted.
Exactly. Exactly. But as always, like coming back to Violet's point, Android is next. I just want to make this sure if you're already sharing cool new stuff that we're thinking of, and we're always thinking, but it's focus, one after the other. And like I said in the Discord today, it's saying no to good ideas, at least for now. And we'll see where to go afterwards when we come there, and when it's actually like
one step at a time.
Exactly. Cool. So let us know if you like the idea of us talking about it in regards to beaming, because as we just said, like it's actually like you're not connecting necessarily through the SPN. It's you're sending the information to the exit node through like multi-hop and stuff, and properly disconnected, and the exit node actually doing the connection then in the end. And because SSL like is still inside this is actually a secure thing to do. It's like the exit node cannot tamper with it.
Yeah.
Because your browser knows where the SSL certificate is coming from.
In addition to what the SPN encrypts, there's still the encryption from your browser directly to the destination server. So there is no way a server can successfully mangle that. If it does, your browser will immediately detect it and give you an error.
Yeah. And Warren Lewis said, thank you for the work you do in SPN and Portmaster. Thank you as well. We're doing it, basically for a better future and proper like privacy in the future. I'm reading the next comment by HRA4242. Okay. HRA4242 says that's not entirely not correct entirely. His UTM encrypts the traffic coming from itself, and all data that has to be stored on the VPN is anonymized within the OS.
I'll have to read that again.
Yeah, me too. I thought this was his UTM encrypts the traffic coming from itself, and all the data that has to be stored on the VPN is anonymized within the OS. Just because in there, like from the get-go, anonymized means that it is not anonymous when it arrives there. Like it's not anonymous. Like it's not anonymous by design. It has and you have to trust that it actually gets anonymized. And for that, you have, of course, to trust that the device is not compromised at all. And we have seen it in the past, like that servers have been compromised and it has not been detected for a while and stuff. And so if you see that all the information if they change it afterwards, but the information has been there, it's just a matter of extraction. When do you extract the information? How do you extract the information? Stuff like that. So this is the reason why when people ask us about like, do we have a no log policy? We're like, yes, like it's part of our terms of service and privacy policy, but we don't make the biggest deal out of it because like you should not trust us, you know? You should not trust the VPN either because like, as you're saying, like they are anonymizing it, but it's like not anonymous from the get-go. It's not like by design, you know? And this is sort of like where I'm like,
Yeah, it's patch on.
yeah, it's patch on. It's like not designed for this. And we're sort of like wrenching it afterwards. But do you understand better what he means?
I'm not entirely sure. So not sure what kind of solution you're talking about here.
Of course, like if you have
if you have kind of more documentation on that, and can tell us what product exactly you're using,
yeah,
that'd be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe to say like if you have like if you control both devices on the end, of course, you can use a third-party like server and have it end-to-end encrypted. But the software provided by itself and the protocol itself does not do end-to-end encryption, and it can't. Like from there has to be IP information in there. There has to be like in the end, if it wants to connect out into the internet, it has to be, of course, like decrypted on the server itself and stuff like that. So of course there are ways around it. Again, ways around it. You can patch your way to a reasonable solution, and we're not saying that VPNs are bad. Like for what they have been built for, connecting to networks, and for a purely security perspective, when you're like, I want to connect back home and I trust my device and I trust my home network and I want a WireGuard connection because it's very like lightweight, with like good security, go ahead, do that. But of course it's not private. Like you have to, that is your network and you want to make sure that is actually your home network you want to connect to, which of course like is not private.
It's private in the sense of not public, not accessible.
Yeah, from a third party.
From the outside.
Yeah.
So someone sitting in between can just hop into it, or can just so it kind of private in the sense of like your home network is private. It's not accessible from the public internet.
Or at least it should not be.
Or it should not be. Yeah.
Because your ISP like can log into your modem. At least in Austria they can. And they can do stuff.
Pretty much everywhere they can.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure as well. Very scary stuff, you know. They can do like Wi-Fi scans as well and so on. Yeah, don't want to get too much into that, but I don't know. Has Naomi made a video about that? I think she did.
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. So HAR 4242, please, again, like if you feel like we haven't answered your question properly, and we have had this in the past, so maybe you have not been here in the past, we have been misinformed about the situation about how ISPs actually do throttle non-VPN encrypted connections, and so
this is very different according to the country you are in, or
exactly. So we have issued corrections. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah, we have also limited knowledge about like how ISPs do things. So
okay. But HAR already says, like, that's more clear now. That makes sense. My UTM is from German. Okay, company called...
SecurePoint?
Yeah, SecurePoint. Isn't SecurePoint, like, Israeli?
No, that was the other one.
Oh, that's Checkpoint.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, the pink one, Checkpoint. Yeah, SecurePoint. Okay, yeah. I control both sides. Yeah, of course. IDS and ISP. Yeah, if you control both sides, sure. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you do your encryption, of course, like, if you that's the same thing. Like with if you're using like email encryption, if you like actually do the encryption of the email itself, it doesn't matter if you like. Maybe don't use Gmail as well because, of course, like of the metadata, they still know that you send an email and stuff, but they cannot read the email if you do the key exchange.
The body. They can still read the subject line.
That's true. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's true. They
as with ProtoMail. ProtoMail can. I think you still can
read the subject
line and like the headers. They're still our clear text.
Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't really.
But that's again,
Yeah,
like
we're off topic.
that's a technology thing, and
Yeah.
it's like it's old
It's patch
technology,
on. It's patch on security.
and it's old technology
overflow.
built for a different time,
Yeah.
built with other expectations. And email is great, like that you're able to host your own email server at home and send and accept email
With everyone else.
with everyone
That's
else.
pretty cool.
It is pretty cool, but like if you actually want proper like private and secure like connections, consider like moving somewhere else. Like, yeah.
Signal.
No, and yeah, no, actually, I love Signal in that regard. Consider supporting Signal.
It's not federated. It's not open. That's the one thing that's not so cool about it.
Yeah,
of course. But
yeah.
We should say use Matrix. That's probably the if we start comparing email to things, Matrix is a lot closer to email than Signal is.
Sure. But of course, it's much harder as well.
Yeah, it is, and the protocol is quite complex. So of course, there are downsides to it. Like email is also very complex. If you like,
that is true.
Look at all the things in there. Man, I mean the very basic protocol is really simple.
Yeah.
But patch on.
Yeah, and I know so many more people who are like, and a significant amount more people who are having like running their own Matrix instances and stuff than I know of people who are running their own email stuff.
Yeah,
because like
that's the thing with email is that you
work.
have to be scared of your emails not arriving.
Yeah.
And nobody wants that.
No.
So Raphael knows a bit about that.
I so do. I'm sometimes scared. Like, I am. I'm so glad that we, like, in a paradox way, I'm glad about Discord now. Like, and we were pointing people to Discord, of course, as well, which, of course, is, like, not a very private option. We know. We are aware. But, like, Discord messages, I can sort of trust that they arrive, And we had in the past people reaching out to us and, users and customers, and we actually met them and have had coffee with them and stuff. And there was a case where they wrote like 2 emails in like right before they were at the office, because we had a pandemic going on. We haven't been at the office, and sort of like those emails never showed up.
Yeah.
So if just maybe then as a little service announcement, please don't be mad if we don't respond to your email. It could be that your email got lost.
Yeah.
I'm sort of scared about this still. That stuff like this happens.
Well, it hasn't happened for a while now, I think.
Not yet. We think. We don't know. That's the big deal with email not working. You don't know.
Yeah.
You just don't know. And Safing, of course, is not hosting their own email stuff. We just
not
are doing enough already. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Okay. Well then. Do you have a different topic you want to bring up?
No.
You don't. Well then.
Do you?
Yeah, no. I think if we're on the topic of SPN, I think we can thank a lot of people who are like started a lot of community nodes in the last couple of weeks.
True.
I think in the last 2 weeks, like especially Australia, I think that person reached out. Of course, today David not here, and David is the one who's like talking with the people in the SPN network. But if you're running an SPN node and like to get in touch, please do.
Always great to know who's running nodes, because if there are issues, we can contact them.
Yeah.
And we can sort things out.
Exactly. Help each other. Yeah. We're sort of like, and I think this is maybe new to you. I'm thinking of maybe doing a Matrix channel for the SPN admins.
That's a fun idea.
Yeah, I know. It would be our first Matrix stuff where we would talk with other people, but it's also, of course, a different like set of people, where I understand they would not want to be on Discord. And the goal with Discord, of course, is to get people who are like on the brink of maybe getting into privacy more, to not have them required to download another app, understand what is Matrix and what is Element and why are they the same but not and stuff.
It's about going to the people instead of having like expecting them to take the burden to come to us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we already had people who have been reaching out and are like, I'd love to talk to you about SPN and hosting a node, but not on Discord. And I'm like, I so understand. We understand, but you please understand as well. We don't want to have 5 or 6 communities, and we sort of moved away from Reddit to Discord now because it's like faster. We can respond more, sharing guides more easily with screenshots and stuff within conversations and threads. So I think it has been a good move.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
like we've had a lot more activity and there and good feedback.
Yeah, and people helping each other, and it's much more
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
Of course, there's no karma in it, you know. On Reddit, people karma hunting.
Maybe that's a good thing, though.
I don't know. I
I think that karma like gamifies in a good way.
I don't know. I just like getting
Okay.
karma. That's all.
Okay.
Valid is asking if we will be hosting a Matrix server, like self-hosting one. We do. We have.
We have
We
one
are.
for internal communication at the moment only.
Yeah.
But it should be federated. We haven't verified that though yet. So I think
The goal was to sort of like move away from Rocket Chat and have like, because Rocket Chat was breaking in weird
that's
ways.
another team chat solution, open source.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been working well for us so far. So we've decided to move away from that and to Matrix.
Yeah.
And that has been working very well so far.
Yeah. I mean, you enabled so many things in there.
I think these are cool things. No?
Yeah, we have been running a Jitsi server for like company calls and stuff like locally for quite some time now. And of course we now have an integration with Jitsi, and I'm like, oh gosh, never worked for me. Like I'm on Fedora at the moment.
But
And
you also use the app.
of
thing.
course I do.
Yeah, I
No,
think
of
everyone else just has it in browser.
No, I hate this.
Okay.
I love having
Well.
stuff in there in its own. Even if it's Electron, we know Portmaster's Electron as well. We hate it as well.
Still, we are going to move away from that
Oh, seeing
in
new
the
information.
future.
Yeah, in the future. Yeah.
Not now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not the first.
Yeah. HRA 4242 is saying like the biggest step towards privacy is switching to Linux. For some people, it's just not doable. Like I still have Windows machines in my life as well. Some stuff just does not work, and the funny thing is, I wrote with Nick about this back when I think the HP Dev 1 came out for the first time. We in the office, for instance, have been using USB-C a lot. Like all our displays are USB-C, and they have power through it. They have Ethernet through it and stuff like that. So you come into the office, you get your laptop, you plug it in, and it's all there. Linux does not like USB-C. Like it sometimes just does not work.
Yeah,
on some devices.
Really weird.
It is really weird. Some, like when we bought webcams, I was scared that they don't work. We found a webcam that worked. I bought 5 of them, just in case. Same goes with like just peripherals. Just like if you want a mouse, you know, does it work? That is the question.
Yeah. So there's a big learning curve in switching to Linux.
And also what I'm saying is like if you already have equipment, and if you switch to Linux and half of your equipment doesn't work, like our printer barely works now for me.
It works well for me.
Yeah, I know. But okay, I'm on Fedora. So you're on Pop OS, Ubuntu, whatever.
So, and the second thing is, I think it's really important to look at threat models whenever
That's
you
true.
look at privacy.
Yeah.
What is your actual threat model, and whom do you want to protect against?
Yeah.
Because depending also which country you're in, you might want to protect against very different set of actors on the internet.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Maybe another hot take here, because we're just like a small community
we're
at the
doing
moment.
just doing hot takes.
No.
Hot take Thursday.
I'm because HRA is talking about Linux. I'm actually meeting somebody from the Manjaro team like later this week, in person. We might work together with them for the future. I actually I should have brought it. I have a Manjaro mug. I think the guy does not know. I've been using Manjaro for like years at this point, and I when the controversy started with them not signing stuff correctly, I'm like, I sort of understand, but I still don't like it anyway. So my work machine is not on Manjaro, just for that reason. But if I tell people if they want to check out Linux, yes, I still think that maybe Fedora might be easier, or like an Ubuntu base, just because apt is just like so out there. People understand apt much better.
Most people will just use whatever GUI is available.
Yeah, and I think in that regard, Manjaro has a lot of great improvements to GNOME and to KDE and stuff, and it just is cool out of the box. So that's the reason why I recommend Manjaro to people, and why I'm looking forward to meeting that guy on Friday.
Well, definitely fun to see how we could cooperate.
Yeah.
I have an interesting question.
I want to quickly tell the people, if you are in an open source project and you want to work together, reach out. We so love to hearing from people. Like people from Signal reached out to us as well. Like when we had compatibility issues, reach out. We like talking to people. Mm-hmm. Sadly, when we had issues with Mulvad, we did not get in touch. I think we tried. I tried once. I was not very persistent, I have to admit. But get in touch. We don't be strangers. Violet quickly said something. What's my vision? My view on Tatuna and ProtonMail. Tutanota, sorry, and ProtonMail. There has been some recent news on both. Oh, I have not read the news. I'm sorry. I sort of okay. You want to go first?
I don't know either.
You don't know either? Okay.
What the recent news is.
I don't know. The recent news I don't know as well.
It didn't make it onto Hacker News, so. or I missed it. Could be
okay. Maybe I can more speak to ProtonMail. I sort of like what they're offering. I like how the application works. I like, for instance, stuff like the second password for the emails itself. So if you use other stuff from them, Proton Drive, Proton VPN, you don't have to give your email credentials into all of those applications. And if you get spoofed or something, like if you get spoofed into downloading and trying to log into a different app, you don't give them your email password as well. So they could not get into that.
So they copied the Gmail feature?
Don't know about that.
I also like first with these app passwords.
Okay. No. It's not an app. It's not an app password. You have two passwords.
But it's still a separate. You get a separate password to just log into your email with your application.
No.
So the application can use that to log into also your other stuff.
No. That's not, no.
That's how I just understood. Okay.
Exactly. No. What you're saying is that you can create a password within the account, which is specific for an app, and you can create multiple ones. That's what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's not what ProtonMail is doing. You have to enable it. But with ProtonMail, you have username and password. Mm-hmm. Then you are prompted for your 2FA, and then you're inside your account. And from there, you can use Proton Drive, Proton VPN, and Proton Calendar, I think. But if you want to access ProtonMail, you're getting prompted for another password. This I like.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Also, how they handle
three-factor.
Also, how they know, because it's also something you know. It's not something you have. How they handle security keys, I like, and stuff like that. I've looked into sort of what I have been using before was Mailbox. How they handle security keys, I hate it. You have been saying that it's okay how they do it. I hate it.
No, I didn't say it's okay. I just said that I know this from other enterprise software that's their cheap workaround to implement that.
How it works is you put in a 4-digit PIN into the password field, and then click on your like YubiKey or something, and then it fills in the token afterwards, and then you just hit enter. It's so unintuitive, and I hate it. I hate it. Also, how you manage multiple keys. But on Protonmail, they actually have a great UI for this, and I think their UI is pretty on top. This is what I can say about them. This is what I like.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think it's on my blog, like rafty.com. If you look, I have thoughts.
Already? I didn't know.
I have thoughts
I'll
on
check.
some stuff, and I think I have put some thoughts on Protonmail over there. Violet has asked a couple more questions. Well, allow me to tell you briefly. Recently, all Proton products went full open source. Yeah, this is cool. Like, I don't know if the server client stuff is open source as well. Typically, when Protonmail talks about open sourcing stuff, they're only talking about their applications and not their server side things. So this is, even you telling me, thank you. I read about like
It's
Proton
definitely just the clients.
Drive. You think it's definitely
Yeah,
just
they
clients?
would never open source a service.
Which of course then means like you don't know how the email is actually encrypted when it enters, because like
No, when it enters from the outside, yeah.
yeah, because of course it, like if somebody from Gmail writes you an email, it enters the server unencrypted. It enters it unencrypted, and of course they can make a copy and then have an unencrypted copy on another server. Could.
But
Not saying that
that's-
they're doing it.
But that's exactly where we are with the same with VPNs. There's no way they can actually prove that,
Yeah.
even if it's open source. So, it really doesn't matter.
Ah. Oh, very cool. Violet is also telling us Tutanota is offering a free exclusive package to all developers in Europe, and we should grab our gifts.
I'm very intrigued to find out what their definition of developer is.
No, I think we are. Like, what do you think?
Like, I don't know what they mean. I mean, like,
I don't know either.
They could be like, no, you're not a developer, you're a company.
oh, of course, yeah.
Because we're the ones they want money from.
No, yeah, that's true. That's true. But Tutanota, I think like I created an account for a friend there in like a couple of months ago, so they're definitely on my short list of email providers I consider. I still think that I think Mailbox has an interesting offering, like in regards to having your contacts there as well and stuff. And of course, Mailbox is not encrypted, which of course is what I don't like about it. But I think they're fairly trustworthy. And so, yeah, Tutanota, of course, has some encryption stuff going on. But the same like with Proton, you don't have like, you cannot use Thunderbird, you cannot use whatever like clients which you want to use with maybe some features you like. And also like synchronizing contacts, you would have to find another solution for that. If you're looking for something, I think Nextcloud is a good option for there. But if you're here, I think you might have watched Linux Experiment as well. And he, of course, like constantly tells people about his Nextcloud server, which I understand and I appreciate.
I would like to ask a question, not kind of to answer right now, but just to give the community time to think about it and kind of to slowly gather feedback. Is that a good
I'm
idea?
sorry, I just read what Violet was saying, and Violet was just clarifying that like the server side that it's not open source is not in use, and just wanted and it was just meant as an update for us. Thank you. No, absolutely. Yeah, and I think this is an interesting conversation, and all is well. I was if I came across too rude in that regard, I'm sorry. No, it's just like we are like looking maybe at stuff like this where we're like, okay, we are open source, like SPN is, the server stuff is open source as well, and so this is sort of a distinction. And some companies, and I'm not necessarily saying this is Protonmail as well, but like some companies say, well, this sub part of what we do is open source, so we're an open source company. And I'm like, oh, not sure, not 100%, of course. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, the server that handles the accounts and stuff like that isn't open source either with us. So,
Oh, that is true. We thought about that.
Yeah, we thought about that because we think that may be an interesting thing to use for other emerging projects. So
yeah, because how we handle and how we're disconnecting like your user account and your payment and like your access, like all of those three things, how they're disconnected is very cool. And we're thinking maybe if you have need for stuff like this, it has been a lot of work for us. And we're considering sharing it.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point. Yeah. The development for this was 3 years as well. 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
probably.
was a lot of work.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work,
Yeah.
and it's
Also a lot of turns taken, so kind of
yeah, that's true.
kind of getting into that and finding out what works and what doesn't work, and kind of
Absolutely.
yeah,
And it
payment
handles
providers.
like exactly, and it handles multiple payment providers and multiple crypto stuff and so on fairly easily, and it's very like drop in and stuff, and you can change it. So currently, of course, we offer like Monero and Bitcoin, but it is not trivial, but fairly easy to sort of like add another cryptocurrency as well. But not easy enough that we're doing it right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But fairly easy if you're setting it up like for your first time. You don't have to invest years into stuff like this.
That's also a fun question. If there's like any other cryptocurrency that you'd like to pay in, just to throw it out there.
We already got a request for some. We already got a request, but I can tell. I always tell people like we turned off Ethereum because nobody was using, like almost nobody was using it. Like the amount of people who have been using Ethereum was so low, and the maintenance costs were much higher for us. And so we're like, okay, good. Let's not do it. Like,
Well, it's always interesting to hear like what things are emerging and what our current customers are using.
yeah. No, feedback is always welcome. Of course, you can hop into the Discord and tell us there. You can hop into the comments and tell us there. And you wanted to say something else in the end. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I wanted to just throw a question out there and explain it a little bit, kind of as a final point today. And not to talk about right now, but just to like throw it out there, and maybe you want to respond on Discord. Tell us your thoughts about that. So the question is about community nodes. Currently, community nodes are only used as relays and exits. So they will relay traffic from a node to another node, and connections that are beamed to them will exit into the big bad internet from there. And the question is, how do you feel like using a community node as your what we call home nodes, so your entry into the network? So that's the node that, of course, would see your IP address. So that community node would see that someone at this IP address
Is using
SPN. But that's the only thing they will know. They also in the default settings know which DNS provider you're using, but they'll not see any queries. So they kind of they know nothing about what you do online.
Yeah. But that's the
important part. And if you have configured anything in your import master that could leak data to them, the port master will detect that and automatically upgrade your connections, upgrade your config to be compatible with that threat model. So there is no information about your internet activity whatsoever leaked to that node. So the question is, how would you think that this is a good idea? Currently, community nodes are not used as home nodes. What are your thoughts on that? Would you think that this is a good idea? Maybe for more context, there will be, as announced, an update to the SPN map, and you'll then be able to a lot clearer see which nodes are hosted by us and which nodes are community nodes.
That's true.
So that will be a lot clearer in the future. Right now, it's not that easy to see.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. there is already a setting where you can exclude like community notes as exits. I think
think
we will
no,
add
it-
one to
It
study.
ignores community nodes for everything. So it restricts you to just nodes from safing for everything.
If you enable this.
Yeah. So it ignores them on all levels.
Okay. So just to be sure, or just that you
Yeah.
all know, there is a setting that you can say, well, I don't want to use those community nodes. I don't trust this.
At all.
But of course,
Yeah.
at all. Yeah, exactly. But of course, like it's part of the whole strategy, like that you don't have to like trust us either, and that it's like more split up into who's getting what and who sees what and so on. And as we described today, that it's disconnected anyway. Like that, this is the whole thing. It's privacy by design in every step, and it's not just like you have to trust this community node. No, you don't. This is why we build it that way, so that you don't have to trust them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question, and something, that we love to hear you. And I just want to make it clear: you will always have the option to sort of like decide yourself. This is sort of like, and we know that the UI needs to grow into that regard and makes it easier to understand and clearer and everything. But like, it's an option, and it should not, like, from how we assess it, it should not decrease, but only increase privacy and security. Oh yeah, so HRA is saying like he would love it and would set up his own node within minutes.
One thing I've been thinking about though is with like kind of maybe an alternative or kind of also for different use cases is to give users the option to specifically trust nodes that they want to. So you can look at the servers and be like, okay, I trust this guy.
Yeah.
So I'll
Trust those
specifically
nodes.
trust those nodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or of course, if you're hosting servers yourself, you can trust your own servers. So they'll be used for everything.
Absolutely. More settings are
so-
on the way.
So that's something also that would allow that to a very fine-grained extent as you see fit.
Yeah. And all doable because like your portmaster is in full control of what you do. You're not reliant on the servers. They just report to you who they are, where they are, what they're doing, and what their connection stuff is. And your portmaster locally decides everything.
Yeah.
And this is why we can enable features like this, and why we can work on stuff like this. Yeah, no, absolutely. Also, the reason why you can configure your portmaster to not find any nodes, because you can say, well, I don't want any nodes in any countries, and then it won't find any nodes in any countries. So yeah. It makes for some very interesting support tickets sometimes, I can tell you.
Yeah, we need to kind of it's not easy to detect if that happens and why that happens, and then to figure out retrospectively like what were the settings that actually excluded all these nodes, and like how do I interpret these automatically and tell the user what's happening.
Yeah,
So,
and of course, ideally, portmaster would tell the user itself,
definitely. Yeah,
which it does not do yet. So it's our fault that people misconfigure it to a certain degree, and we want to improve there. Absolutely, don't take this the wrong way, but it's funny. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's funny. Okay, something else you want to add? Otherwise, I would wrap up and.
I think all's good.
Okay then. Thank you all for the people who have watched live. This time a lot of action on the YouTube, not so much on the Discord.
That's true.
Yeah, it's funny. Last time it was the opposite. But in any case, you can reach us on Discord. You can reach us on Mastodon. I'm almost never on Twitter, so please don't
we
try.
should remove the Twitter handles then if we're not on Twitter.
I thought you are.
Well, sometimes.
Okay, whatever. You can get in touch with us. Love to see you back here in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'll be here, I guess, and maybe it will be Daniel or it will be David. You can, of course, leave us a comment below who you'd like to see next time and who you want to talk to. Maybe it's just David and Daniel as well. I don't have to be here if you don't want me. But love to hear from you. Also, if you want to support our work, please do. Like, go on the pricing page. Supporter tier is exactly like, sometimes we still get questions of people who are like, how can I donate? We're a company, so donations are like not as easy. But buy the supporter package. They don't auto renew if you don't go on the auto renew package, which is only one PayPal package at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, give how much you would want to give. That would be great. We're very thankful for all our customers. And if you want to try the SPN and try beaming your connections through the internet, get the unlimited tier. Here, the same deal. It does not auto renew except for the one PayPal that does. Yeah, so you don't have to cancel if you don't want to continue using it or stuff like that. But of course, we would like to see you delighted and continue like using it. Yeah, joining us here each week and tell us your experiences.
Great. Thanks.
Thank
And
you.
see you next time.